Pastor, we're getting ready to start.
We're live.
Okay.
We're live.
Good morning.
Get ready for prayer first.
No. We're going to turn it over in the hands of our very capable city clerk.
This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, September 22nd. Please stand for our invocation led by Dr. Charles Dent, City of Grace Mobile Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for thank you for the awesomeness of leadership of the city. Thank you, God. Even in the midst of our storms, leadership does step.
Are we ready for the pledge?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
I'd ask that we would remain standing for a moment of silence in memory of the life's work and legacy of the nearly departed Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Whether you agreed with her stances from a legal perspective or not, she was a trailblazer in every respect. Second female appointed to the United States Supreme Court, and just the epitome of perseverance. Before bouts of cancer, worked tirelessly to represent her perspective and her viewpoints on the law, and an example to countless women and men across this country and across this world. And we have truly lost a valiant leader, and she certainly deserves her rest. And I'd ask that we would observe a moment of silence for her and a moment of silence for, at this point, the nearly 200,000 of our citizens who have succumbed to the coronavirus. Put that in perspective, it would be as if this entire city floated off into the Gulf of Mexico and existed no more in the mere period of 7 to 8 months. It's a serious disease, and I'm appreciative of everything that everyone has done locally to help us fight it and help us flatten the curve. But let's keep those families, many families that you and I both know, in our thoughts and our prayers, and let's observe a moment of silence in honor of them as well. Thank you.
Roll call, President Manzi.
Here.
Vice President Small.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Days.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning. In response to national, state, and local guidance due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the Alabama Open Meetings Act and the Governor's Supplemental Emergency Proclamation, we are meeting remotely. While we are all in different places, we are able to fully participate as if we were all in council chambers at City Hall. And in keeping with requirements of the Alabama Open Meetings Act, the public is still able to observe the meeting through the live stream. All items we will address during this meeting are either necessary to respond to COVID-19 or necessary to perform essential minimum functions of the city. The public is still able to present comments to the council by emailing them to cityclerk@cityofmobile.org up to 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Public comments, which will be acknowledged as received and distributed to council members and included in the official meeting minutes. As always, the meeting is live streamed and can be viewed through the city's website or on the council's Facebook page. Speakers today will be allowed 5 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 4. 1 minute will remain for summarizing. The second bell indicates that all of your time has expired. The speakers addressing the council, they're to make no personal address to any individual council member, but all statements are to be made to myself, who serves as chair, and I will subsequently respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no public outcry allowed, and hopefully during this particular meeting that won't be the case at all. So those are the rules, and we are again appreciative of each and every one of you all's interest in your municipal government.
Approval of minutes of September 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Absent any discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. We continue to do the cleanup. Yesterday was really the first day that the city contractor started rolling. That would be DRC. Now, we've had probably 340 plus trees reported, or tree hazard incidents that we've cleared to date. And we all see all the debris on the side of the road. Everyone is wondering how long that debris will be there. My hope is that we will attack that debris just like Alabama Power Company attacked the restoration of power. I mean, I know for a fact that the return to service was done in record time. There were over 4,000, either Southern Company, which could be Alabama Power Company, Georgia Power, Mississippi Power, plus Duke Power, Ohio Power. 14 different states were represented. An amazing job to get power restored, and we are tremendously grateful to Alabama Power Company as well as the parent company, the Southern Company. We've decided to approach the cleanup in a little bit different fashion, and that's this, that I'll regress and just say that during the storm, we had a joint operations command center, which had police and fire leadership all in the same room, monitoring the cameras that we have around town to check on damage and help clear that damage. That joint operation command center is something that we're going to model from a cleanup perspective. Colonel DeLapp is going to set up a similar operation command center, probably out at the EMA, so that we'll have the main or the primary contractor there, as well as some of the leadership from the various departments of the city, GIS and so forth, so that we can truly be mapping and directing how the cleanup will go. The hope for outcome in that is that we'll be able to get it too done in record time. I'm not going to tell you at this point in time what that date is, because we don't have quite enough information right now to be able to predict that. One thing we do know, though, is that to make it go quicker, for those citizens that separate their piles on the street into 3 piles, one is raw vegetation, second is construction and debris, and the third is any appliances, electronics, or tires. If you can make those separations, it will make those picking it up much quicker. If it's all combined into one pile, it won't be picked up on a first or second pass. There'll have to be 3 different passes to pick it up. So, well, they make the 3 different passes, but they won't, it'll help us get it all done in a more expedient fashion. So please help us by putting in the 3 piles. If we make a pass by your house and we get some of the debris up, don't worry, we will come back and pick it up at a later date, but we are asking for those who aren't, we're asking for people that by Monday, October 5th, if they don't think they can have the debris on the street by Monday, October 5th, please call 311 and let them know that, that you cannot meet that deadline. And obviously, if you have any questions about that, you can call 311 and we will go back over what the request is there. For those of you that haven't seen Benville Square, it's a very sad sight. I would say that probably it got hit collectively as hard as any one spot in the city. We're very fortunate, in my perspective, in that we have a group called the Downtown Conservancy, which was created out of a Leadership Mobile class. And their project was to develop a master plan for Benville Square. That master plan was completed and delivered in January of 2019. Just to give you a little background on it, there was a lot of stakeholders meeting involved. We had residents involved, they had city staff, tourism, business owners, city officials, the mayor's office, homeless services, designers. Anyway, a whole lot of collaboration. Our hope is that they will, and our direction is that for them to take the lead on this, talking about what we should do going forward. We are going to insist that our public parks and rec department work with them, but there's going to have to be further assessment done from an arborist standpoint of really what is the status of the trees there. But anyway, I look forward to the Downtown Conservancy picking up this ball and running with it so that we can restore Benville Square to part of whatever parts of the master plan that we think should be implemented. On another note, we implemented Operation Clean Sweep downtown, which was just a name we dubbed to our cleanup personnel and public works. And we kind of copied what we do on Mardi Gras, not quite to that scale, but over this weekend, starting last Friday, our public works crews, they swept almost every single street in the downtown area, plus picked up, I would say 90% of the, any garbage bags were picked up and a lot of just debris was picked up. And my understanding is we also did that in a couple of other neighborhoods. The Bottoms, I think we made a run through there and picked up a lot of the debris that was out there. Anyway, I think we've learned how we can maybe expedite the cleanup, and we'll continue to try to do ways to make sure that we get all the stuff that was created by the storm picked up as quickly as possible. Our recycling centers are closed. The company that we send our goods to in Florida has been damaged. I don't know the date they're going to start back up. We know that you can take your recycling to the county facilities should you choose to do so. And for more information on the county site, you can log in to mobilerecycles.com. So that is all my remarks at this time. Turn it back over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And let me just say that, and I know several of my colleagues, if not all of us, feel the same way, that we are just appreciative of the leadership exhibited during the course of Hurricane Sally, from yourself to the public safety director, all of our public service workers who just have worked so tirelessly to respond in an expeditious manner in order to get some level of normalcy back to this community. To John Peavy and his staff that was so responsive day in and day out. The entire city owes a debt of gratitude, not only to our city employees and to the mayor and his staff, Ms. Henderson, and everyone else that was so communicative, but also to Alabama Power and the leadership there at Alabama Power that kept us updated so that we could keep our constituents updated to the degree that we could relative to when their power might be reconnected. And it certainly seemed to be a quicker process than other hurricanes that I've experienced. And so I'm just appreciative of the collaboration that all of us saw in trying to get us back on strong footing. And I'm thankful to God that even though we had some damage here or there, that he spared us for the most part, and want to keep all of our fellow citizens over in Baldwin County who really kind of took the brunt of things in our thoughts and prayers, and want to support them in any way that we can possibly support them. But again, hats off to the mayor and to all of the city staff, John Peavy, Anitra, everyone else who did such a yeoman's job in coordinating things so that we could get back to some normalcy here in the city of Mobile.
Mr. President, thank you for those remarks. They're very kind of you to say that. I will say that a lot of our public workers, public works workers that are cleaning the streets, picking up litter and so forth, even our policemen and firemen, for you just to pause long enough, or anybody, any citizen, if they see them on the side of the street or they go by a fire station, just stop and say thank you. That just speaks volumes to them. And I think they feel like they're being appreciated, but there's nothing like hearing the words come out of some citizen's mouth. So to the degree that our citizens can do that, we would appreciate it.
Mr. President?
Ms. Gregory?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. And I certainly agree with letting our employees know how much we appreciate what they've done. Some people will say, well, that's their job. And sure it is, but the kind of work that they do in these situations is really going above and beyond what is normally expected, because they're out working in these storms, these very hazardous situations, when everybody else is home hunkered down. So they are doing the kind of work that we need to protect us, and we just can't say enough about what they have done. I know a lot of the fire department folks were making rescues the very day that Hurricane Sally was coming on shore. The police department has been out working and surveying to make sure that everyone is safe. Public Works, all throughout the cleanup, I've seen the Public Works folks out clearing the roadways. They're out picking up garbage, picking up the trash. And, I've never really seen an instance, and I've been through a lot of hurricanes with this city as a city council member. I've never seen as much information come our way as we had during this storm, nor have I seen things get back to, somewhat of a normal as quickly as we have this time. And really, truly, hats off to all of our employees for making that happen. You mentioned John Peavy and his crew. They are truly out doing a yeoman's job. But also, the power companies that were in town, and I know it's kind of a reciprocal agreement because our folks go to other states and that sort of thing. But still, the fact that they come in and they do this kind of work is really just saying something about, how we all feel about one another and working together to help. I know a lot of people in my district saw Mississippi Power and other companies from Mississippi out restoring power, and they were very appreciative, taking them donuts and coffee and pizza and stopping to shake their hands and clap. I stopped and took pictures and did the thumbs up, so they are very appreciative of the work that was done. And, we know the next storm out, Alabama Power and crews here from Mobile will probably, be going to do the same sort of work. So again, I think for the community, it was just a job well done. And Mr. Mayor, with your leadership and your administration, I don't think anybody could have done a better job.
Mighty kind of you say that. Thank you. But it's the team.
True, but there's got to be a captain of that team.
If I could comment.
Let's get Ms. Rich, and then Mr. Vice President, and then Mr. Davis, and then Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. I'll just echo the same exact sentiments. The timeline compared to some other serious circumstances, weather circumstances, is obviously very different this go around. And I know the citizens are most appreciative, very, very much. With Bienville Square, such a resource and a community asset, I heard about the conservatory group, but if you don't mind, if we could get a point person that our offices could talk to with that group, since they've done so much work in the past to reinvigorate and hopefully sustain that resource, that even though it's not in my district, it's certainly something that is beloved by this entire community. And I would just appreciate, I believe my colleagues as well, to know exactly what is being prepared, because people will ask us and we would love to point them in the right direction on that. And I like hearing the fact that our urban forester, Peter Toller, who we know is quite a professional on tree maintenance, sustainability, liabilities, will also be a resource that the city will turn to survey. You said so, and that's really a good sense of place for everybody with that with a park that means so much to so many for so many years. And as far as recycling, I know that people miss the single stream, but when it comes to using the county's program, you will have to separate. It's not the hardest thing to do. A lot of people are still doing it, but that's probably one of the biggest difference. And of course, the locations where they exist. And I hope that people will still use it, since we won't know how long ours will be shut down. Hopefully they'll come back sooner than later. But again, Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership, and also for everybody in that team that worked so hard to be dedicated, whether it was public works or public safety, parks, recreation. They were all involved and made a big difference. So we are very appreciative. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Mr. President. I can say that Kelly Hope, my understanding, is the head of the Conservancy. And so you can reach out to her. I think y'all all know Kelly. Also, I will forward to President Manzi the address for Mark Crosswhite, who is the CEO of Alabama Power Company, and for Tom Fanning, who is the CEO of the Southern Company. And it may be that the city council would want to drop them a note.
Absolutely. We will get with Marion and get to work on a collective communication that we can send to both of them to express our sincere appreciation, because I just can imagine the level of coordination and hard work that it took for to know that 4,000 of them were here and working so hard. It's just mind-boggling, but it did a great job. And I know, my goodness, my phone was ringing off the hook. I'm hot, I need air and oxygen, this, that, and the other. And they were so responsive. And so I'm gonna stop. It's Mr. Vice President, and then Mr. Williams, then Mr. Davis, and then Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to piggyback behind our president, also Councilwoman Rich, and congratulate you, Mr. Mayor, and your entire team, especially Colonel DeLapp and Mr. Peavy, and also Mr. Peter Toller, for even reaching out, and you're trying to see if there's anything extra that could have been done after the fact. And sometime, Mr. Mayor, next month, I would like to for you to really bring in the ones from the police department, fire department, and public works, because I'm sure there are some stories out there that many people who would never imagine that some of the city workers had to endure during this time, and to help our citizens out for being rescued through, trees on top of houses and power lines and stuff. So I really believe that it would be a great idea for that to come on down to city council meetings sometime in October, before we can recognize those individuals. And again, I do appreciate you and your staff and all the hard work that you had did for our citizens.
We'll definitely get them down so you can express that appreciation. Thank you very much, Councilor.
Mr. Williams?
I won't beat this too much, but this drum needs to be beat. It is. We all know it is the best response we've all seen since, well, at least since I've been in Mobile, and that's 25 years. So no matter what the event or the urgency, I think that the staff just simply met it head on, And as the mayor likes to say, this is a home run. But we still have to go back and review it. And if anybody has something that we think was just a little bit short, this is not really a time to just lay back. This is a time to make it as good as we can make it. And I'll certainly be happy to contribute to that while I only have a couple of things, but it was a magnificent response, and thank you again.
Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Mr. President. There's really, I don't think, much for me to add. I certainly concur with the sentiments that all of my colleagues have expressed. But again, Mayor, thank you for your leadership. Colonel Latt, Mr. Peavy, our leaders in the police and fire department, our public safety employees. It's just a tremendous response, and in a real critical time, and shows the amount of training and dedication to duty that is in all of our employees. Thank you so much. And to Alabama Power too, I was here in 1979 for Frederick. And this storm was probably not quite as severe as Frederick on the city of Mobile, but I can remember being without power after Frederick for 3 weeks. And in this storm, we were without power for 3 days. And I'm just telling you, the quick restoration of power goes a long way to calming everybody down. So great job by Alabama, the entire team, just absolutely superb. And my thanks go to all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to join the rest of the council members in saying kudos to Master Simpson and his department heads, and especially to the public service workers and the public safety workers. I made a list I rode District 1, and I made a list of the downed trees that were in the right of way. And I sent it over to Mr. Peavy. Within a day, the only trees that they didn't remove are those trees that had power lines in them. But the rest of them, they had, Peter Toller and his crew had gone out and removed them. Some people were trapped where they couldn't get home. And they went out there and got those trees out of the way in a time that was mind-boggling to me. Oak Knoll Drive in the neighborhood, and I mean, several huge oak trees took power lines down, but they also blocked the street. And I was wondering, would we have equipment powerful enough to cut those big oak trees in sections? And we did. They came up there, cut those oak trees out of the way, moved them over to the side of the right of way, and kept on loading. So I'm giving them an A for what they do. I'll put our employees in the city of Mobile up against any employees in any city. We have the best. I would like to say, Mr. Mayor, going forward, I would like for you to consider having a couple of centers ready to be open after the hurricane or whatever the calamity may be, whether it's flooding, hurricane. It just so happened that Stella didn't completely destroy many houses in the city. She was traveling slow, but she took down trees, but it's very few houses that was totally demolished and left people without anywhere to go. But if she had been a category 3 traveling that slow, we would have had lots of citizens without a place to stay. And the Dot Center, for an example, is equipped for alternative power. You could go out there and slap it, turn the power to that, cut the lights on. and have that center open for people to come to until they can get themselves settled down. I had some people calling me, asking me if we had shelters, and I said no. But going forward, we may not even need it. But I would like to see us across town have some shelters open, just in case we need to have a place for people. We didn't know. You know, it looked like we was going to get the dead hit. Looked like we was going to New Orleans. Looked like we was going to Mississippi. Looked like it was coming straight to Mobile. It hit Baldwin County. And we were on, there's no good side, but if there was a good side, it would have been Mobile. The bad side was the east side. But if it had been a category 3, we would have had far more fallout, and we would have needed shelters. I remember when Katrina hit, New Orleans had their convention center open for people to go. But it's not that I'm saying it looked like we ought to be ready, not knowing what's going to happen. We ought to be ready, and we didn't need it. We were blessed not to need it, but in the future, I would like for you to consider just having a couple of facilities ready in case they are needed.
Duly noted. Thank you, Councilor.
I think that's everyone. And again, we all are appreciative and great job. And again, we're just grateful to God that we were spared in the manner in which we were spared. Madam City Clerk.
Monthly finance report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. President, I'll be brief. I know you have an extremely full agenda today. The August financial report is a fairly good one. We are in the 3rd month of our post-COVID recovery. As you may recall, we had 2 months of economic downturn, March and April, which were reported in April and May. Then for May, June, and July, which are reported a month each later, we've had increases in sales tax revenue. Total sales tax for August were about $1.2 million above budget and $1.1 million above August of last year. Collectively, those 3 months just about make up the $6 million in sales tax loss that we had for those prior 2 months. So we are very blessed. We have had a resiliency that our peer cities would envy. Our heavy reliance upon manufacturing industry, which some would say is old school or an economy of the past, actually served us well. We lost virtually no jobs in manufacturing, and that's been the anchor that has carried us through this economic crisis that's been so different for a lot of other cities. Total revenues for August are up about $1.3 million above budget. After we deduct the venue space losses, that is the lack of revenues from the Civic Center, Convention Center, Sanger Theater, our museums and the like, we still experienced a month that was to the positive about $800,000. So far so good. Looks like 2020 will be a good year in spite of COVID being something that we never had anticipated, never experienced before. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council has.
Are there any questions of Mr. West?
Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President?
Yes, thank you, Mr. West, for the great report that you have rendered to us, especially revenues from last month. My question is that we know that we are approaching the holiday season. Is there like a forecast as in knowing that, are we expecting to be about the same as last year or lower, because of the pandemic for the holidays that's coming up?
Very good question, Mr. Vice President. To this point, we are anticipating a flat 2021 equal to 2020, and that's not a negative by any means. That is a positive. Most of the cities that we are polling are actually anticipating a loss in revenues, not only for the holiday season, but for the entire year of fiscal 2021. So we have budgeted for flat revenues in most respects. That is built on the trailing 12 months or the previous 12 months. That means that for holiday 2020, Christmas, and the Thanksgiving post-Thanksgiving selling season, we're anticipating a strong season. We don't have any reason to believe that will not be the case. And one of the primary foundations for that belief is that after the stimulus checks had long been spent, and after the federal unemployment supplement had long ceased, our economy remained as robust during the post period as it had prior. So we are anticipating that Christmas will be a joyful time, not only for our citizens, but also for our budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. West? Thank you for good, positive report, Mr. West, and we appreciate all that you do. Madam City Clerk?
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We need a motion. We need a motion, Joel. We need a motion to
I would
declare.
move. Yeah, Mr. President, I'd move that all of the items that are listed as essential COVID-19 items on the agenda be approved as essential COVID-19 items.
Second.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on October 2nd on Moffett Road from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Fred.
So move.
Is that second?
Second.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings, today is a public hearing to rezone property located on the south side of Tennessee Street, 200 feet east of South Scott Street from R2 to B2, District 3.
Mr. President.
This is an appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
No, these are
Public hearings.
Yes.
Is there anyone here that would like to participate in this particular public hearing? Do we have anyone, Madam City Clerk?
No, not for this public hearing.
Hearing no one and not knowing of anyone, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 5535 Linwood Steiner Road and 5575 US Highway 90 West, east side of Linwood Steiner Road, US Highway 90 West, 100 feet north of Kuhlman Road, 200 feet east of US Highway 90 West, from B3 and B5 to B3. I have two people here that are signed in to address these two items. the applicant is here.
All right. We're ready. We're ready to hear from them. If they
Okay.
could state for the record their name and the address.
We'll let the applicant go first, please.
This is Eric Eckhart, 5725 Fox Ridge Drive, Mission, Kansas. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. My computer's giving me a message of bad network connection. I don't have anything to address to the council. Just want to make myself available for any questions you guys may have at this time.
Any questions? All right, Madam City Clerk.
Okay. We have another person signed in also.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Michael Thomas. I'm with Gonzalez Strength. We're the civil engineer on the project. I really don't have any comments for the city council at this time. I'm just here to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions?
Mr. President, no questions, but I do have a comment for both.
Sure, Mr. Williams.
And first of all, welcome to Mobile. I know it's been a long process. I'm the representative for that area, and I look forward to your construction and operations as soon as possible. But there was a call last night from a Mr. Jerry Latham, who has a business right across the street from you. I have shared both of your phone numbers with Mr. Latham, and I've asked him to whatever questions he needs answered and whatever is necessary for him to do that as soon as possible. So be looking for a phone call. It is again not our intent to delay this any more than the 1 week that is by council rule.
Councilman Williams, this is Eric Eckhart again. If I could just chime in. Mr. Latham did contact me just before the start of this meeting. We've spoke and are going to set up a meeting to further discuss this project. He just has a few questions about who we are as a corporation. I'm happy to share some information with him. I think we will have several conversations ahead of next week's meeting. Just wanted to let you know the update on our end.
Awesome, thank you.
That's it.
All right, Madam City Clerk.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Thomas and Mr. Eckhart, since there were no other questions or comments, then I'm going to remove you all at this time.
Thank you.
Good day, sir.
Thank you.
Public hearing to consider the vacation of a 5-foot strip of land adjacent to lot 4B, Walker's Addition to Briarwood, District 7.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer any commentary for this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory?
just going forward, it's pronounced Braywood.
Oh, Braywood.
Just for everybody's information, yeah, Braywood.
Okay.
You might need to add a Y in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But thank you, Ms. Gregory. Madam City Clerk?
Did you close the hearing, sir?
The public, yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Public hearing to consider the revocation of the business license of Deepwater Marketing for houses located at 259, 261, and 263 South Broad Street.
All right. This is a public hearing for the said addresses of houses on Broad Street. We're going to open the hearing, and we're going to start this particular hearing. I'm following the guidelines of our council attorney by asking that if there's anyone on behalf of the city who would like to make any presentations or make a statement, offer any commentary, if they would go first, and then we would hear from, I know Mr. Lyon is associated with the owner of these properties, and he's ready to speak, and then we'll move forward in the hearing. So we'll start off, I believe, by hearing from City Attorney Ricardo Woods.
Good morning, Mr. President. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Woods.
So by brief background, I know you're familiar with these three properties located in your district. If you might recall, approximately a year ago, back September 2019, we were looking at revocation of the business license for the previous owner. And that hearing went forward, but in the process, in between the time that the notice was given to the previous owner and the revocation of the business license of the previous owner, that property was sold, or all three properties were sold. Those three properties were sold to the current owner, which is a Deepwater property. Since then, we've gathered information, additional information. I provided an updated copy of the summary report and an affidavit from Sergeant Patrick Sanders at the Mobile Police Department. So most notably, you'll recognize, and this, I think this is probably what brought this juncture to the table, was that there was a murder, a homicide that occurred on Monday, August 24th. That murder, of course, occurred by shooting. That gentleman who was accused of the murder is in custody. The victim was one Maurice Timmons, 48-year-old male. It did pass away. You probably saw that reported by the news, but that of course occurred this past August 24th. And then you'll see a series, in addition to the affidavit provided by Sergeant Patrick Sanders. Let me go through it in total. What you'll see is calls for service from October 19 until the current date. And I got a note for you. We got to make a correction on the affidavit, but I have submitted a copy to Mr. Lyon, the pending summary report, and to Mr. Arledge. And so what you'll see, I'll go by address. Calls for service at 261 Broad Street. We have a total of 4 calls. There's a suspicious circumstance, residential fire, homicide, and sick call. And then at the 259 South Broad Street address, there's a total of 9 calls, 4 for sick calls, 2 for harassment, 1 for close patrol, 1 for residential fire, 1 for attempted suicide. And then 263 Broad Street, there's a total of 46 calls. There's 10 for suspicious circumstances, 12 for close patrol, 7 for disorderly conduct, 2 investigations, 2 mental health conditions, 1 unauthorized vehicle, 1 abandoned vehicle, 1 for trespassing. The most serious, of course, to note is the homicide that took place on August 24th of this year. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you all have for me at this time as well, or go back over any information that you might have missed, since we're going through it rather quickly, since the documents are already submitted to the city clerk and to Mr. Lyon.
Are there any questions of Attorney Woods? Thank you, Mr. Woods. Again, any questions of Mr. Woods? I want to make certain I got it. Any questions of Attorney Ricardo Woods? If not, we appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Woods. We will now hear from Mr. Lyon and anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the business owner or the business properties.
Mr. President, members of the council, and Mayor Simpson, this is BJ Lyon. I would let my client Randall Petrie go first, and then I will follow if that's appropriate.
Absolutely.
Hey, my name's Randall Petrie, and due to the history of this property, I kind of wanted to tell y'all a little bit about me and what I do and why we bought the property. But my wife and I bought these properties, over a year ago. Really with the intention to make it a safe, stable place for low-income people to live. We visited the property. We knew it was a rough place, but there was a core group of tenants in there that were elderly, older, that weren't involved with that were basically scared to walk out of their house, come out of their room. It was a rough property. We saw those. We still thought we can make a difference on that property. All these people that live there, they just didn't have any other options to live anywhere else that was safe. And that kind of, I guess it touched our heart, and we wanted to try to help that. We also knew that there's a lot of people working downtown, you know, minimum wage, fixed income people, you know, people that maybe only make $9, $10 an hour, only getting 30 hours of a week to work. They're only making $1,000, $1,200, you know, working at the restaurants, you know, washing dishes, cleaning rooms, those kind. They need a place close to downtown that they can walk to. They're close to the bus stop. They're close to the grocery store. They don't own a car. And they need, you know, there's a need in our community for those kind of people. We knew going in, it's going to be a lot of work. And so we made a plan. Our plan before we bought it, so we're going to have to start reducing the number of people. There were 37 people living there in those 3 buildings when I bought the property. We knew we needed to drastically reduce that, drop it down, start eviction, start everything, get it down, get it stabilized, get it to what I call a quiet period where it would be quiet for several months, just to kind of get it quiet, calm down, get rid of the drug traffic in and out, get rid of all that. So, you know, that's part of our goal, get it stable, find some good people, start. We knew from day one, too, we needed to put full leases on, have everybody sign a full lease, because we needed to be able to enforce rules. To legally evict, I've got to have rules, I've got to document, I've got to do my notices, got to hit my dates, got to hit all that. Can't do that till we got leases. So we did leases. We quit accepting weekly payments. We moved to a monthly payment only. We quit accepting cash. And this is all day one, but no cash, you have to do check or money order. You know, didn't want people carrying cash around there. That breeds, you know, robbery and violence. We didn't wanted people to be safe. Started putting all these things in place, and then reduce the number of tenants in there drastically before we can really start fixing and rebuild it and make it a better place. You know, before we purchased the property, if we did our due diligence, we went to the business license department, talked to them, talked to the lady, ask her if there are any issues around there getting the license. How's the city's stance on the license? Is there any issues we should know about? You know, if there are going to be any issues she perceived. She said, no, it's not an issue, you know, shouldn't be an issue. There's several other rooming houses around the city, and, you know, the city doesn't have a problem with them. We then went to zoning, to the zoning department, talked to a gentleman there. They asked, his name was Peyton. He came up from the desk back in the back. Said, look, are there any potential zoning issues, rezoning issues? Does the city want to change any of this? You know, are we good, or is any problems foreseeable? He said, nope, not going to be a problem. Pulled the screen up, showed us the zoning, showed us all that. You know, told him our plans. We wanted to kind of move away from the room model and go more to convert some stuff over to a low efficiency apartments. So of having 3 rooms and a shared bathroom, do a living room, bedroom, kitchen, and a bathroom. You know, that's the kind of model. So he suggested we go to the building permit office. So I talked to them, building permit, sure, no problem. You know, with codes and all that, as long as we stay within these parameters and all that. So basically, we spent time, did some due diligence before we purchased the property, got the clear from all the departments. We even called the fire department. Of course, I wasn't the owner, so he couldn't give me a copy of their reports, but he did inform me that there were no current violations. It was up to code. You know, everything was fine. You know, no issues. You know, so we proceeded, purchased the property. Before we purchased, we had no idea until about 2 weeks after we purchased the property, the status of the relationship between the city and the previous owner. Found out about it from the news and a call from a police officer that said that y'all had a meeting and had revoked the business license. I said, well, it's funny, I haven't even gotten the business license yet, because I'm waiting for the paperwork to come through. You know, so eventually we got meetings with Ricardo Woods last year, got it approved. You know, told him our plan. We started moving forward. It's about November when we actually started to actively manage this property. We reduced the tenant numbers down over 70%. We installed a video camera. We've got 15 video cameras over there on the property, in the hallways, outside, all around. The day they were installed, we called the police cyber crimes department and got it signed up on Project Shield, which gives the police 24-hour access to the video cameras. They check in periodically during the days, and they have any time they want, they can log in and see it. That was the officer told me that I was the first property on Broad Street to put his camera system on Project Shield. So we also went to Captain Jones down at the local precinct, day one, trying to say, we need a plan. We know you're going to need help. Get rid of, y'all are spending too much time here. Help me build a plan. We started, he said, keep the property on close patrol. You see trespassers, disruptive people, call the police, get the pressure, keep the pressure on. So we started doing that. They started ramping that up, that pressure on the, as we're evicting people, keep people from coming back in that weren't residents and tenants. I don't know how much time I have here, but our goal is to basically keep the density down, improve, remodel the new appliances, new paint, the light fixture, ceiling fans, get a better tenant, slowly increase rent. I still don't want to go too high. But concerning the August 24th shooting incident, it was committed by a trespasser. It's a guy, not a tenant, not a resident. He lived 5-6 miles away, other side of town. He broke in a locked gate, came in the back of the property. It's all on video. That night that it happened, I got in touch with the detectives. They got the video that day. That helped them immensely on arresting the suspect. Detective, after investigation, assured me this is not drug related and nothing to do with drugs. It was not robbery or anything. Heard the affidavit that from Patrick Sanders that Mr. Woods sent out earlier, that this is, it was a domestic issue, is between two people, personal issue. It had nothing to do with the property. I can address a lot of things and minimize a lot of things. I can't know what's in people's hearts. I've got letters in the packet that we sent out. Got letters detailing. Some of them actually lived there before I bought it. They're kind of testing to how much improved it is. Other ones are new tenants. I've got a pastor that is an associate pastor of a local church. He had heard from people on the street how improved it is, how quiet it is, that it's now a safe place. It's convenient for him. He can get it, get to his church, get back. He has a job on the side. He can get there. It's easy for him. It's a safe place for him. I've had another tenant that said she moved from a place because she heard this was clean or quiet, and that she was tired of having to step over in the morning when she goes out. She's tired of having to step over the drug addicts, and scared where she lived. And our goal is to make it a safe place. Basically what we're doing, we're trying to improve the property. Basically, and I've got a couple of articles that I printed out one's from Mayor Stimson, one's from President Manzi, proposals they have to renovate and improve old houses in the community. Well, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm trying to renovate it, improve it, get better tenants, provide a safer environment for them. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing it with my own money. The way I read these plans, and I'd be wrong, but you're kind of partnering with local investors to help to improve the quality of the properties to get a better tenant. That's what we're doing. We're actually trying to achieve the same goal here. And if you look at the call reports, and I've got in our packet we have a police crime call history page. And if you look at building 263, it's at the bottom. In 2017, you had 90 police calls that year to just that one building, not the three, just that one building. In 2018, 78 calls. In 2019, you had 137 police calls to that building, just that building, not the other buildings. In 2020, since I've owned it and got most of the evictions, hadn't got all of them out yet at that point in January. We've had 6 calls to that building, drastically reduced it. Most of those calls are calls where I'm calling to keep the property on close patrol, keep the police presence in there. And we're taking trespassers, people that are wandering in that aren't residents, aren't tenants, aren't visiting people that remember the old days when they could walk in there and buy drugs. And we're running them out. If they don't ask them to leave, if they don't leave, we call the police come get them. We've created that pressure. Now we're not getting those that walk-in traffic like we used to. It's just taken a while to change the culture of that property. But basically want to tell you, I'm doing with the city and President Manzi and your proposal. I'm doing that. I'm trying to help y'all. This is where the direction I want to go. I'm an investor. My goal is to improve the value of the property. One day I'd like to sell it at a profit. And the only way I can do that is to get it quiet, get good tenants, put good rent rolls on it, pay my taxes, improve the property, and start renovating rooms, renovate the outside, get to structural, just make it a nicer place to live. So
let me first, I want you to if you don't mind, can you give me your last name again?
Petrie.
Petrie. I wanted to pronounce it correctly.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Petrie, I can remember vividly getting a phone call from you, either while you were in the process of buying the property or either immediately after you bought it. And I want to say, kind of as a, foundationally, that I don't think any of this is really pinpointed at you per se. I'm hearing all that you've said relative to the number of police calls. Do you own any other rooming houses or boarding houses in the Mobile or Baldwin County area?
No, sir. The only other properties I own are single families.
So how many calls of service have you had to make at any of those other locations?
None that I'm aware of.
At your personal, and we should have asked you this at the beginning. If you could give us your name and address for the record.
Yeah,
Mr.
Randall
Petrie?
Petrie, this address.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. My Deepwater address is P.O. Box 7531, Spanish Fort, Alabama.
So do you live in Spanish Fort, Mr. Petrie?
Yes, sir.
How many calls of service did you have there at your personal residence last year?
None. Zero.
Well, and so the have you, in the year that you've owned the property, have you made any attempts relative to outreach to all of the neighbors who live either in the Oakley Garden District or the neighbors who live in the Down the Bay area that's behind these properties? Have you made any outreach to them for them to understand your overall or long-term goals for the properties?
Yes, sir. I've spoken to Kurt Matei several times, explaining that to him with the Oakley Neighborhood Association. I've also spoke to, and I'm not sure she wants me to give her name, but
well, don't worry about giving it then. No, sir.
They've got a neighbor across the street, and I'll tell you the story. She came to me, and this made me feel good, kind of justified what I'm trying to do here. She came out. She's lived in that house for 20 years. Her and her husband. They're retired there. She told me that she had never, in 20 years, felt comfortable enough to sit outside on her front porch as much as she does now since I own the property, since I've cleaned it up. This is,
sir?
She said it's safer now. The traffic's down. She doesn't see in and out. She doesn't see the big crowds of people hanging out on the front porch and the Saturday nights and the Friday nights, people in and out. She's made that comment. Spoken to the guy next door a couple of times. I've talked to the lady behind us. We had an issue with the fence. Fence had fallen down. I went and had that fixed. I've spoken to them. I let them know that the security cameras actually go into her backyard. So if there's any issues, anything's missing, something, say, call me. We'll have it on camera. Now, I'm doing things to reach out to the people. I'm also trying to, train our residents that, when you see something, people that don't need to be there, then they're the old crowd from the past. I say, call me or call the police, because I'll call the police. Get involved. We want them out of there.
Let me ask you, Mr. Lyon, those positive comments, were those prior to the homicide that took place?
Yes.
Because I think I know the couple that you're referencing, and that particular couple is blowing my email, Facebook, cell phone, and any other. They've sent 3 or 4 pigeons with completely a different commentary at this point.
At this point,
and I don't doubt that you are in this for the right reasons. I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting your sincerity and wanting to be a responsible landowner or property owner. I'm not doubting that at all. But there are some grave concerns amongst the residents of both Oakley and the Down the Bay community about these properties. And even with all of the additions that you've made from a security standpoint, those concerns are still prevalent and persistent. And so I'm appreciative of all that I heard. Did that end? Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Petrie?
Do you have anything?
Then we can hear from Mr. Lyon. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Of course, we've made a submission to the council and request that you all just review it. You can see the amount of investment that he's made in the video cameras and the surveillance, and his total investment's about $500,000. And so this motion or what the council is considering to revoke the business license would of course be devastating to him and to what he's tried to do. This property has truly been transformed. I think it's evident from the 90% drop in police calls, which is really laudable in a year. The active management's made a difference. You see a complete culture change in the tenancy and the people that are there. Now, can't speak to someone in Oakley or Midtown or these other areas that may remember what happened in the past, and that's what I want the council to consider, that not to visit the sins of the past upon the Petries who are trying to do what they can do. The occupancy's been drastically reduced. The bad tenants and associates have been removed. Property's quiet and stable. If you read the tenant letters, and certainly if you look at the crime statistics, that's evident. This is I mean, we were unable to obtain the police patrol or call references for any other properties, but I venture to say there are a number of apartment complexes and other properties in Mobile that would, if we were able to do that, would demonstrate there are a number of police calls made to those, which now would exceed what you see on these properties, yet there's no move to declare them a public nuisance as in this property. And unfortunately, what this particular, why we find ourselves in a hearing is that it's if the council upholds this revocation, then the giving a disincentive, sending a message to anyone who wants to privately invest in improving the city on the basis that the city now contemplates with restoring 300 1,000 homes and properties. This is being done privately. It's demonstrated to be effective on this property. And we would ask you not to do that because, number one, we don't believe that it is a public nuisance. We do not believe that it has, at this point in the last year, been a detrimental impact on the neighborhood, nor otherwise adverse affected the neighbors such that the city should take this type of action. We would ask the city not to rush to judgment, but simply give us more time. And if you don't see, if you see an uptick, a significant uptick, then that might be a horse of a different color at a different point in time. But right now, I don't know that there's anything more that could have been done, that has been done, has not been done. And you see the positive results. And I just think that if the city takes the action, it will send the wrong message and certainly devastate this family and destroy the value of his investment.
And I'm sensitive to that in many respects, Mr. Lyon, but I'm also sensitive to the message that we might be sending to the surrounding property owners who've been there 20 and 30 years and who've also invested upwards of $500,000 in their properties in that area, and who are concerned about living in vicinity of a property where a murder took place. I think if one took place on my street, I live on Selma Street down the bay, I would be up in arms. I believe that would be the case for any person on this Zoom meeting, any person who might be listening to me. And this has absolutely nothing to do with the history prior to Mr. Petrie. I'm not taking that in context at all. I know the neighbors may be doing that, but I understand that we have to analyze and deliberate based off of what's before us from the here and now. But that's a very serious kind of incident to occur in a neighborhood that we're trying hard to bring back. The city's investing heavily. Federal government now is in with the Bring Back Broad and with the Tiger Grant. We're really working on Broad Street, and that's a very serious offense that has the neighbors on both sides up in arms about the future of these three properties.
Appreciate that, President Manzi, but this is the random act of a third-party trespasser that was completely unforeseen. And if having a murder adjacent to or near a property was the test for the city to revoke an occupancy permit or a business license or whatever, then I submit to you, there are a number of properties that should have or will be dealt with in the same way. And if this were any part of the owner's doing, any part of the landlord's doing, I would understand the need to tie the property to the murder, but that is not what happened here. And this is just an unfortunate black swan event that just appeared out of nowhere, that completely random, and he's being facing the result, which is adverse to him on something that he had absolutely no control, no knowledge of, no way to prevent in any way. And that's unfortunate that it happened here. But I think if the council would wait until the case is tried and this gentleman and has no more facts about what happened and why it happened, then it might make a different decision.
And I just want to make it crystal clear that no one is indicating inferring that that is the test. I know that's not my inference. I don't believe anyone else's inference is that. I'm just, as the elected representative of the hundreds of families that live both in Oakley and in the Down the Bay community, relaying to you the sentiments that have been relayed to me over and over and over and over again. And it's hard to ignore that when you have persons who have invested to the same degree as Mr. Petrie, who lives over in Spanish Fort and would not stand for that in his neighborhood. And I believe if I were to ask him, he'd tell me he would. And so I would be remiss if I did not make that crystal clear on behalf of those who've entrusted me to be their representative. We've heard from Mr. Woods. We've heard from both Mr. Petrie and Mr. Lyon. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed. Madam City Clerk.
Public hearing to declare the structures at 408 Schwartz Street, 1914 Nerline Lane, 1606 Katy Street, 2765 College Street, 355 Regina Avenue, 313 Lincoln Boulevard, 1856 Clinton Avenue, 2505 Dubois Street, 2019 Tucker Street, 309 Cuba Street, 400 Lexington Avenue, and 3903 Vallis Drive, public nuisances and ordering those demolished.
Yes. Yes.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak during any of these public hearings?
Yes, we have Ms. Rosie Patterson regarding 1856 Clinton Avenue.
Okay, you can go ahead, Ms. Patterson.
Ms. Patterson, if you could state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rosie L. Patterson, and my home address is 1155 South Ann Street.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here on behalf of, they sent me a letter here on behalf of the address at 1856 Clinton Avenue, which belongs to Mr. Jeff Dodge. He's the uncle of, he's the brother to my father. He passed away. So my mother took, Cora, I'm the estate of Cora Dodge, which my mother is the sister-in-law to my uncle, Jeff Dodge. She was handling all of his business for him, taking care of him at 1155. She was his caretaker at 1155 because he had got sick and had to leave that home and stay with us. So, and after I had got all in debt with having to try to pay the taxes for my mother at 1155 South End Street, I decided I would let my cousin Crystal Awesome and Newsome in California. I have her address and everything here. She's the one that's taking care of the property. They want to demolish the house when they said that the reason why they want to demolish it because it was in bad shape and everything. But she's the one that really keeps the property up at 1856 because I can't just take this in mine too. So that's what I'm trying to do. If there's anything that needs to be done or said, if they need to get in touch with her, because I don't know how the law really go, but by me, him being my uncle, she's the niece and I'm the niece as well. It's just a cross-up thing, but she's the one that's responsible for, the property being kept up at 1856 Clinton Avenue. But my mother is really the estate over all of it. So I don't really know how this is going to go. I'm keeping up my taxes at 1155 for my mother, and she's keeping up, Crystal Dodge's, Newsom is keeping up the taxes at 1856 Clinton Avenue. And I don't really know how to get in touch with her because she's changed the address, but the last known address is at the top of this paper. This is the one that's handling the property there.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, Mr. Richardson. So is this Miss Adams?
No, it's Ms. Patterson.
Miss Patterson. Miss Patterson? Can you hear me, Miss Patterson?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Fred Richardson, and I am the council member for District 1, and Clinton Street, 1856 Clinton Street is in my district.
Yes, sir.
At our pre-council this morning, we held a pre-council meeting. We went over all of these properties that's recommended to be demolished, and I informed the council then that I didn't think 1856 Clinton Street should be demolished.
No, sir, we were not really ready to demolish it. My cousin are taking on the property and the house is not being, she had said something about it, however it go, if she ever have to be in charge of it, she would like to have the house fixed up. But the property that the house is sitting on is still Mr. Jeff Deutsch's, which belongs to my mother, Cora Deutsch. So it's just a really mix up, and I really don't know really how to go by, but just letting things stay like they are or whatever. Get in touch with her because I don't know how to get in touch with her right now.
Okay, so what I'm going to recommend to the council.
Yes, sir.
Is that this matter be laid over 60 days.
Yes, sir.
And then that will give you a chance to get rid of, get in touch with the other family members and tell them that if they want to keep the house, they need to start a process. First of all, they need to pull a permit.
Yes, sir.
That will pretty much shut down anything that the city is going to do. They need to go downtown and purchase and pay for a building permit.
Yes, sir.
And then once you get the permit, then you have a certain amount of time to go ahead on and finish up the remodeling that you need to do.
Also, it's up to us if we want to keep it or you can demolish it. What if she decides she want to just go ahead and just demolish it?
If she does nothing, that's what's going to happen. You don't have to tell us nothing. Because if we come back in 60 days, if you all have not pulled up a building permit and you would not have made any effort to renovate it, then I'm going to go along with the recommendation of our professionals that it be demolished. Otherwise,
so you're going to give me. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I'm going to recommend that we lay this matter over for 60 days, and that'll give you a chance to get the matter in order.
Contact her.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All
right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Yes,
ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during this particular public hearing or any other public hearings? If not, the public hearings are closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. We have Reggie Hill regarding the budget and also regarding vacations of property. Mr. Hill? On mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk. Mr. President, members of the council, to Mayor Stimson, citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning. It's still morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to address Ordinance 57029 and Agenda Item 09661. That's the street vacations and the budget. Before I begin, I want to thank the saints and the ain'ts too, everybody that was praying to ensure that peace be still out there in the water. We didn't have to see as much of the brunt of that as many did, so we're grateful for that. I will begin briefly with the 57029. I just want us to examine all existing ways to improve traffic flow or create innovative means to do so and do the same thing. Our taxpayer dollars from all over the city help to create and sustain our highways. Therefore, access in the city of Mobile to travel should be just that. It should be accessible for all of our citizens. So I hope that with the week that is being laid over, we'll be able to address that. Moving on, since 2016, there have been several citizens to make suggestions about our budget, usually for ideological justifications, of course. However, there were always at least two presenters, I feel, who navigated through the entire budget and made recommendations on forward-thinking measures that would improve the quality of life for all Mobilians rather than just a select few. Those two individuals I felt were myself and Mr. Ron Hunt. And seeing that he has not made any public remarks, I simply want to wish him well and continue with this work. I feel that we both know is both very vital to municipal government. That's citizen involvement. I will be timely and to the point and suggest that the budget go back to the Finance Committee. We lost a week of discussion because of Hurricane Sally, and the budget deserves more attention. We also know that the previous budget can roll over if the new budget is not passed by September 30th. Much like Councilman Richardson, who had not received a formal response from the administration regarding his request, I have not obtained a response of any kind to my budget inquiries from either the council or the administration. And these included public safety measures, reprioritizing funding to meet the specific needs of law enforcement and the court system, ensuring that necessary training is in place to prevent brutality and abuse of power. Examining the CIP ordinance, we see that we have an additional $9 million to spend annually. Why not focus on drainage the way our citizens deserve, and be ready in case a more serious natural disaster hit? Let's actually be proactive against juvenile delinquency and crime, increase the level of performance contracts. Not one council member has spoken up on that. Update the inside amenities of our community centers the way that we propose to do the outside infrastructures and the connecting sidewalks. Give the public works employees, we've talked about how well they did after this disaster, give them the pay increase that was promised and approved a couple of years back, while keeping the 2.5 increase for all other city employees. We need to increase the city council district discretionary spending to be able to invest in projects that actually work and produce meaningful, not just numerical or relational results for our community. Those agencies that are often overlooked with the performance contract, these can now be filled with those additional resources for city council districts. And finally, we must remember that no city business is done without the city clerk's office. So outfit this vital wing of the municipal government with the needed resources. I'm sure they have a plan to make themselves the most successful, but I've suggested specific numbers. You can refer back to any of the City of Mobile YouTube channel videos that I presented on the budget, or I can submit those things in writing. You know, I have no problem doing that as well. I just hope we actually get a response. So again, let's not close off our communities. Instead, let's find better ways in which we can live together. And also, I urge this council again to send this budget back to the Finance Committee. There are still far too many matters that need to be addressed. And keep in mind, always, this is the people's money. We all are stewards. You all are stewards. This is the people's money. And the people need to be considered, and we need to do that. And let's please act accordingly. Thank you for yielding the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Madam City Clerk?
Okay, that's all. That's it.
Other communications to the council. We have Wendy Hill regarding.
Okay, that's Richard. Okay. Essential COVID-19 items held over. 27024, ordinance to regulate food trucks. Everybody's on mute.
Mr. Daves?
I'm sorry, move to lay over until November 3rd.
Second. Been properly moved in second. We lay over to November 3rd into discussion.
Yes, sir. I would
Mr.
just like to say that the Finance Committee will have a meeting concerning this proposed ordinance on October 20th, immediately after the City Council meeting, and we welcome public comment on it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Daves. We've had discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is laid over.
09661, approve the 2020-2021 General Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, and Convention Center Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. I would like to make some changes to the CIP capital fund for District 6. And I will get this to the city clerk, but on the record, I was expecting another week to be able to organize this, but I think I have my act together on it. I would like to see that the synthetic turf, which was programmed for $880,000, be changed and put into these categories instead. And that would be 400,000 into resurfacing, 400,000 into the sidewalk line for new sidewalks, and also 80,000 to be added to the Grelot Road beautification, which is already an established capital account. I was able to work with the staff and started with 75, moved over to that. but we'll add another 80,000, making that 155 for those improvements. I appreciate the council's support on this. I did also, working with the administration, ask for information about 2 collapsed drains that are on, one is in Regency Park subdivision, the other is in Hickory Ridge and backs up to Medal of Honor. There's collapsure. I don't know how much it would cost, but I was also trying to find out whether some of the funds, instead of for the synthetic turf, could be moved to those. Getting no answers, I moved them to the sidewalk, like I said, and also to the resurfacing line. So if I could get that concurrence from the council for the CIP for the district, I'd be most appreciative. Last year, there was funding for concession stands at both the softball and baseball fields, and for the football field that never rolled out. So that money sat for an entire year. And I would not like to see another year go by where money should go into the district for needed improvements, because I don't foresee the synthetic turf being done in this budget cycle either. And it can be lined for next year. And it's my understanding they'll get to the concession stands, restrooms, sometime in the beginning of this year. So that's a capital project for this year, even though those funds were out of last year and sat the entire year. So thank you very much for your support.
Is that a motion to amend the capital fund budget to include those?
I guess it is an amendment.
Does it have to be amended since it's?
I didn't think so, but this administration likes amendments for some reason. So even though I'm not changing any amounts as far as additional, it's strictly working within the parameters of the amount, the 3 million that each council district gets and how it was aligned. I'm changing projects to put them into those lines. If it needs to be an amendment to make it work for this administration, I've never seen that before because it's a proposal, but however it needs to be done, I'm open to that.
Well, what you're saying, you want to make the change. You made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Now, I would assume we go back to voting on the capital budget as amended.
No, the general fund, the capital fund, and the convention center fund.
All of them are.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer an amendment to the general fund budget. Let's go to page 20 in the general fund budget. Top of page 20 is labeled Exhibit 2, Other Capital Expense. That's the section I want to amend. The mayor placed in
I think you're talking about the capital fund budget.
the capital fund budget. Okay, the mayor placed in there various and sundry items in a number of parks in the city, coming up to about $4.3 million, which I'm not opposed. I don't have no opposition to the mayor doing that. But the mayor placed not one dime in there for District 1. And I understand that the mayor is for one mobile, the mobile that he lacks, but this is not for all mobile. I think all mobile ought to benefit. These tax funds came from all of the citizens in the city mobile. For him to isolate out 4 or 5 districts to give funds to, and then refuse to give District 1 any funds is unacceptable. And he went on to tell us this morning that the reason he didn't do that because at some point in the past, he put money in the budget to build a fire station in District 1. And I just want to say at Gus Rim, that property was sold and the money for that property went back into the budget. We're currently building a fire station in Langham Park. And at the same time, he's allocated $970,000 for Langham Park. Why he's building a fire station? And he's talking about years ago when he built the Crichton Stage fire station. That I'm not giving him anything because I built the fire station years ago. You're building one right now in Langham Park, and you turned around in the same year to give $907,000 to Langham Park. I'm just saying that it's unjustifiable. So I am recommending that we take $1 million from vehicle supplement settlement. Vehicle settlement. We take $1 million. It's 1.5 million in there for vehicle settlement. We take from that line item, we take $1 million and we add a new line item that we're at the bottom of that list that we call St. Stephen Road Revitalization Program. We add that to the bottom of that program, and we add $1 million to that. And the reason that I say that is because we have in our city Highway 9 4 lanes, Highway 98 4 lanes, Highway 43 4 lanes, Highway 31 4 lanes, Highway
Mr. President,
2 lanes.
just as a point of order, we do not have a motion on the floor or a second. And there's a lot of discussion going on, just so that the general public will know that we follow parliamentary procedure. I'd like to hear a second if there is one out there.
I took Mr. Richardson, were you not making a motion?
Yes.
But a motion needs to be, Mr. President.
You don't tell me how to make no motion, John.
Hold on. It's the point of order, and a point of order is heard in the order in which it comes. The point of order is that there is not a clear motion with an amount and where the money would come from. And that's the form of a motion. And then we can go into discussion on why and
If
what
there's
philosophical, political reasons we have for that.
John, you came late. I named an amount and I named where it was coming from.
But
it needs to be in the form of a motion, is my point.
I'm making a motion now. You cut me off.
No, you're going on and on.
But you don't tell me how
Mr. Williams, Mr. Richardson.
Yeah.
There's no motion in a second.
Mr. Richardson, could you restate your motion so that it's crystal clear to everyone exactly what it is that you would want done?
Yes, sir. I'm proposing a motion that we take $1 million. First of all, I want you to go to page 20, which is labeled Exhibit 2, Other Capital Expense. And in there, you're going to see a line item that says Vehicles Supplement, and it's $1.5 million. I'm proposing that we take $1 million from that line item and that we add a new line item named Safe Stephen Road Revitalization Program. We add $1 million to that line item and add that line item to the bottom of page 20. That's what I said. And I was going on to say that the reason
There needs to be a second, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we had a man that talked about some apartments for 15 minutes. And didn't nobody say one word to him.
That was
I've been speaking 5 minutes and here we got some opposition.
This is parliamentary procedure, Fred. If you want to argue on the parliamentary procedure. That's all I want is a second. You may not even have a second. We may be wasting the public's time.
Mr. Richardson, have you fully stated your motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I would like to just discuss some more, if I may.
No,
topic.
No, ma'am.
No,
There's a
okay.
motion on the floor.
If you second it, you have a chance to discuss.
The question I ask is there a second?
I will second it, but it doesn't mean that I'm automatically voting in favor because I feel
Okay,
like there needs to be.
That's fine, Ms. Rich.
Okay.
You second the motion. Now it's time for discussion. Ms.
Okay,
Rich.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hear what the good council person from District 1 is assuming almost, because if we look at that list, there are park improvements, and they're not in every district, but they're in majority of the districts. The district that I represent did not get chosen, and but I've been working through discretionary and also looking at CIP over the last number of years to make those needed improvements at Medal of Honor, and it's been very successful for the most part. I think when we heard from the mayor about the $250,000 that has already been programmed to get rights of way, to get a design, to get what the cost will be in order to make those improvements to the corridor that Mr. Richardson is so advocating for. And I respect that advocation. I truly do. But I think taking it from a line that we do not know what we would be doing at this point, with removing $1 million from one line that has nothing to, it's not keeping apples to apples. It's doing apples to oranges. It's making it difficult for the council to make a good decision. Like I said, I was encouraged that there is already programmed money that is going towards making the St. Stephen's corridor the corridor that Mr. Richardson envisions, that his community deserves for improvements. It cannot be done in this calendar year because there's too many unknowns as to what would be required. And knowing that he is such an advocate, I don't think it will fall behind, and perhaps will be in next year's budget, just like I'm hoping for next year, if surplus is to be used for capital. We have a trailer at Medal of Honor Park, so I'm going to get that in there. It is 35 years old. It is something that should have been improved years ago. And I'm hoping that maybe the administration would say it's time to improve that in the city's second largest park and put money, because CIP might not cover it. And it can be another modular, a modern modular building. It doesn't have to be something from bricks and mortar from the get-go, but it's terrible what's there now, and it should be improved. So I'm going to work that in to tell Mr. Richardson I'll be looking for next year to see that those improvements could be added. And I'm letting the administration know that that's an important project for Medal of Honor Park, especially if we're making improvements to parks. But I feel that Mr. Richardson will get his program done, because already there's money to see the plans being drawn. You have to have the plans first, so you know what you're talking about as far as funding. And so as much as I'd like to support his efforts, I don't think that my office could vote in the affirmative. And I hope that it will not be held against me. Thanks.
Mr. President.
Mr. Richardson?
We have, through the MPO, we have held numerous community meetings on St. Stephen Road. And I partnered with the council members and the mayor of Pritchett, because St. Stephen Road goes on Pritchett. But we have community meetings, and we created a vision and a plan. And then the city has not allocated one dime towards St. Stephen Road, not one. The MPO put in $250,000 to do a comprehensive study. We got the study done. Then we had to come back and hire some people to go out and separate the city's property from private property, surveyors. So the surveyors are finishing up now. So we would need money for the construction segment. We are just about ready for that, because the surveyors are finishing up what they were doing. It's being done in phases, and they have finished up surveying phase 1, and they're going into phase 2, meaning we already know. We all got a vision. We want a dedicated third lane. We want 3 lanes, a dedicated third lane for people to turn, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, overhead lighting, trees, the whole thing, grass, the whole thing down St. Stephen Road. I want to say that the only U.S. highway in the corporate city limits of the city of Mobile that is not 4-lane is Highway 45. And Highway 45 run through the heart of the African American community, and all of that 4-laning stopped. If you go across Highway 45 and go over to take St. Stephen Road over Interstate 65, it's gonna go into 4 lanes because you're going into 8 Mile and on up. It turns into 4 lanes. It's sort of like University. You start at Cottage Hill Road. University is 4 lanes all the way up to Moffett Road. When you start toward Pritchett, it's 2 lanes all the way to US Highway 45. Go to 158. It goes through the swamps all the way up to Shittington Road, 4 lanes. They're doing St. Stephen Road the same way. I think it's not unreasonable to ask the city to make a contribution, since we have done nothing to try to improve St. Stephen Road. I don't think it's out of the ordinary to ask the city of Mobile to put $1 million into the pot and let us go to the state, into the federal government to try to get the rest of the money to do what we are proposed to do. Trying to put me off because he said he has built a fire station in Crichton. That's something he did. I'm glad he did it. It's a benefit to a number of districts, but I don't think what I'm asking for is unreasonable, that $1 million be put into this line item, the St. Stephen Road line item, so we can proceed with St. Stephen Road.
We have a motion. It's been duly seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President.
Yeah, I would like to say that, I think that Mr. Richardson's idea is a great idea, but I won't not be able to support it because I have, even though St. Stephen's Road is a highway, but it's you ride up and down it very smoothly. I have a major street in my district that leads to Airbus and to the new airport, and many residents travel this street every day, which is Michigan Avenue, where they got to go up and down, up and down, up and down on some concrete streets. So I cannot support this just to put some money somewhere for a limited time, not knowing when it's going to be spent, et cetera. But what we need to do is just get a master plan, which I think the administration is working on, of all the bad streets and the streets that we do have in Mobile, because not only Michigan Avenue, there are other streets throughout, District 3 and the city of Mobile that really just need works on, besides on St. Stephen's Road. And again, I really do think that Mr. Richardson idea is great, but I have many residents that complain about Michigan Avenue for years of how bad the streets is, and today I would not be able to support that and putting money somewhere where you can sit up and not have Michigan Avenue just sitting up there and nothing, no attraction, no plans or anything is not being done to it right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Vice President. Mr. Richardson.
I believe Councilman Small, I believe his comments is very similar to mine. He says that he has parts of his district that need the same thing. So what I'm saying that the mayor is giving Tramiel Park $1 million, he's giving Mills Park $1.4 million, he's giving Matthews Park $950,000, he's giving Langham Park $970,000, he's giving Trendergarten Park nothing, Vickers Park nothing, Aarons Park nothing, Tricentennial Park nothing, Mill Street Park nothing, Sage Park nothing. And I feel just like he feels, that you're giving all this money over there when I have needs too. It is absolutely no different from my point that I made is absolutely the same point is what Councilman Small made. The difference is he is in the mix. He's in the mix for $1 million. I'm in the mix too for zero, not a dime. I'm in the mix for nothing.
Let me just say, as you look at that capital list, I probably have more parks in my district than any other council member. I would put my number of parks up against anybody. And I'm steadily expanding every year, it seems. And you don't see $1 million in there for my district for a park. We have $250,000 for the Africatown Welcome Center. But I also have taken in consideration that I've got all these other things going on in the district, from the Tiger Grant to St. Louis Street. Councilman Richardson and I share St. Stephen's Road. And so his interest in seeing it improve is no greater than mine at this point. But it's also a state highway. And whatever we do, it's going to take a lot of coordination. ALDOT has jurisdiction over that road. It's going to take a lot of coordination with them in order to move forward. And that's coming from Nick Amberger, who works with the resurfacing and improvement of our thoroughfares. And so, and with this line item that we'd be moving the funds from, I don't know how that's going to impact from a public safety standpoint. I could make a very similar argument. And I know Councilman Richardson doesn't necessarily agree, but when we had capital monies 2 years ago, none of our other districts got any of it. All of it went in District 1, whether it was a project he wanted or not. All of it went in District 1, from the building of that fire station to the $1 million to that Publix grocery store. Which turned out to be a boom for Midtown, because that service, that whole area has just blossomed. It was the right thing to do then, which is why none of us complained. It was the right thing to do. We all signed a letter in support of the Publix development. And it has turned out to be one of the better developments in all of the Gulf Coast. I would put it up against anything currently being developed. But that pretty well ends my commentary. Any further discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson, let me get Ms. Gregory, then I'll come
I'm
right
for
back.
it. Yes. Come on, Jim.
I realize that, Mr. Richardson will probably want to comment again after I speak, but I appreciate, Fred, what you're trying to do, and I certainly understand it. And I think it will happen. I mean, look how long it's taken the Ziegler project to get done. And that was coordinating with the state, with the county, with the city. It's taken 20 years. We had to get the plan, we had to get the funding. I mean, it is a long, drawn out process. And I think your St. Stephen's Road project is a lot further along than Ziegler was. So it sounds to me like your project will get done. It's just not ready for the funding to be put in now to move forward with construction, but it will get done and the money will be there. I mean, I don't see that it won't happen. I mean, I'm very positive that what you want to see happen will happen, just maybe not next year. As far as Langham Park, the fire station that is being built in my district is not in Langham Park. Langham Park has a new plan that we have seen rolled out, and I can't remember the last time there was an infusion of money put into the city's largest park, which is Langham Park. I put money in all along with CIP, but what I have in $3 million to go citywide, I can't put everything into Langham because there's so much other need. So now I've got 1.4 million in my CIP for next year, but that's still nothing but a small drip in the bucket compared to what is needed at Langham to go forward to make these renovations. And again, Langham is the city's largest park. People come from all around the city and the county to use this park. So the $975,000 that's programmed in will go toward making a good start on working this plan and getting construction going so that people will finally see we're making progress at Langham Park and not just talking about it. I've got 1.4 in CIP money in. I had, I can't remember how much from last year's budget in 2020 for all the pavilions. And we haven't even started doing the pavilions yet. It's been a year. We still got to do the pavilions with the money that was programmed in CIP for last year. And then this 975 will build an amphitheater, which will be one of the main amenities, a showcase at this park. But again, it's just a start. And, you know, the last time any surplus money was put in Langham Park, who remembers? Ever? You know, I mean, that's the problem. We all have needs. And, you know, Langham is a jewel of this city, and we need to all support the money going there. And I'm sorry that there's not enough to go around for every district and everybody to have $1 million. But sometimes you don't get it this year, but you'll get it next year. You know, I've been left out many times. You know, when we support others who have the need that is ready, shovel ready to rock and roll and go. And I'm sure St. Stephen's Road will be there, if not next year, the next. But it takes a while to get there. And that's it.
President,
Mr. Richardson?
my final comment is this. City has, what, $68 million in surplus. The city is not trying to, you know, the city has enough money to do all of what we're asking them to do. It's a deliberate act that District 1 was left off. Well, we had 4 million this year, 4 million. We got $68 million in surplus. It wouldn't take anything for the Mayor Stimson to add. If he was going to do anything, give District 6 some, District 5, 1 some, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It wouldn't take anything from him. We got the money. We're not hard timing. We have the money. So you just wait, and it'll come your way one day. That's what happened to these districts today. I'm talking about today. If we took that $1 million out of that line item vehicle supplement, would mean nothing. We have enough money in the budget. We have enough money. The city has enough money to put that back and whatever else we want to do. But I see what you all are saying. It is what it is. I can't make it no. I told you what I wanted to be. I can't make that happen. All I can do is make it known. I want the people of District 1 to know you are being slighted. District 1 is being slighted in the opinion of your council member. This budget is for one mobile, not for all mobile. That's what I'm saying.
Any other discussion? And now we're gonna vote on the motion. It's been properly seconded. We've had the discussion.
We're voting on his amendment.
Vote on his amendment. That's right. All in favor, let it be known by the sound of aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Okay, so Ms. Gregor, are you voting for the?
No, I'm sorry. I just thought it was the overall. Sorry.
Okay, let's try that again.
She voted for it. She's taking it back.
She's taking it back.
Sorry.
Yeah, you take it back, you know. Oh wow.
And I can understand. She knows I'm right.
Okay.
I think I'm just
She got to take it back. I understand.
Let's try this again. All in favor, let me know by the sound of aye.
Aye.
The voice. All opposed, let it be known by the same sign.
Aye.
Aye. Well, the amendment fails, and in light of that, if I'm correct, we're going to now vote on all of the budgets together.
Right.
With the amendment that Ms. Rich made and was passed.
Right.
Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Abstain.
So from my hearing, the budget's passed with 6 in favor and 1 in abstention.
Right.
I think that's correct.
Thank you to all of my colleagues and thank you, Madam City Clerk. If we could go on to the next item.
Mr.
President, if I could,
Yes, sir.
if I could just thank my colleagues for passing the budget in a timely manner. I think it's really important we do that, and we will enter the new fiscal year with a budget that has been passed and move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Daves, as finance chair. I know you've spent a considerable amount of time working with the administration on this budget, and to each and every one who's worked to get us where we are. And there have been commitments made, and we certainly will look for those commitments to be upheld. But hopefully and prayerfully, this will be another great year for the city of Mobile.
We would like to thank the city council. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Madam City Clerk?
Okay, if there's no objection, I'll take the next four together. 08663, approved purchase order to Office Equipment Company of Mobile for furniture for a convention center. 09664, reallocate monies from cruise terminal fiscal year 20 operating account security to public facility improvement capital project for parking deck structural repairs. 21665, authorized contract with Keith Thornton for sidewalks along O'Shell Road between University Boulevard and Parkway Drive West. 23666, accept deed for the donation of land along 3 Mile Creek and Gordon Smith Center Drive for the 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Essential COVID-19 items 57029 through 6708.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of items 37,679, 680, 681, 682, 683, 684, 6690, 691, 692, 694, 695, 4697, 698, 699, 700, 701, and 6703. And the remainder will have lay over 1 week pursuant to council.
Okay, we have 6708, which was the Linwood Homeowners Association serving a public purpose and approving payment of $3,000. That's District 1.
I thought I didn't include that one.
No, 6708.
Which number?
It is now. It is now.
Yeah.
Which number is that? Is that in
6708.
Bottom,
Yes.
right above public hearings. Call for public.
And you did the neighborhood one from District 1, correct?
That's the one we're
For
talking
the
about.
no, that's
No.
no. Did you? I'm looking for it.
That's a different one.
I'm sorry, didn't hear.
So it is included, Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
It's been
that's
seconded.
your motion. Is there a second?
That's windmill,
Yes.
correct? Thank you.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. 37,679, 680, 681, 682, and 683 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer, table wine off-premises only license for Moffett 1 and Moffett 2 on Moffett Road, and for restaurant retail liquor license for Rock and Roll Sushi on South McGregor Avenue, and for issuance of a restaurant retail license for Biryani Pot on Downtown Boulevard, and for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license for Brick and Spoon on Airport Boulevard. 4684, declared 4684, declared the structure at 408 Schwartz Street. 46 689, declare the structure at 313 Lincoln Boulevard. Public,
60.
did I miss 688? Yes. 4688, declare the structure at 355 Regina Avenue. 60690, determining appropriation to the Windmill Place Subdivision Homeowners Association serves a public purpose and approve payment. 37691, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor Class 2 package store license for downtown liquor, beer, and wine on North Broad Street. 08692, authorize the purchase order to CDW Government LLC for subscriptions for Microsoft Office 365 and product service agreements. 31694, authorize a grant from Aftermath Services for the MPD K9 unit. 31695, authorize grant sub-award agreement for the Mobile Greenway Initiative 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail. 40697, declare the structure at 2505 Dubois Street a public nuisance and order it demolished. 40698, 699, 701, declaring structures at 2019 Tucker Street, 309 Cuba Street, 400 Lexington Avenue, 3903 Vallis Drive, public nuisances and ordering those demolished. 6703, determine a contribution to CF Biker High School serves a public purpose and approve payment. And 6708, determine an appropriation to the Linwood Homeowners Association serves a public purpose and approve payment.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay, so the next three that I'll read, Mr. Richardson, did you want to lay those three structures over for a particular amount of time, or just lay over for 1 week, and then I'll take the other one on Clinton Avenue separately?
No, I would rather just lay all of them over 60 days.
All of them for 60 days?
Yes.
Okay, so 40, 685, 686, 687, and 696 are declaring structures at 1914 Nerline Lane, 1606 Katy Street, 2765 College Street, and 1856 Clinton Avenue, public nuisances, and ordering those demolished.
Motion level for 60 days.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items laid over 60 days.
And that would be November 24th.
Okay.
Call for public hearings.
Excuse me. We talked about the Braywood laying over for 2 weeks, but I think it's automatically going to come back next week unless and I didn't catch that till I was reading everything again and remembered what our attorney mentioned, that it might take 2 weeks to settle it out.
Oh, okay, because we didn't specifically say 2 weeks, so.
We didn't call it.
Just let it come up next week.
Okay, I did. Okay, that's.
Yeah, and if it's not ready, then, we'll just lay it over again.
Okay, I just thought maybe we could change that one. Okay.
Call for public hearings, 41707. Call for public hearing to rezone property located at the east terminus of Blue Ridge Boulevard, extending to the west terminus of Old Dobbin Drive, north the west terminus of Harness Way, the north terminus of Creekline Drive, and the north terminus of Valleydale Drive, from R1, R2, and R1 to B1 to R1, scheduled October 13th. District 6.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make the council aware, even though this is a down zoning, because some of the property is in the multifamily with R2 and B1. It is to put in a new neighborhood to establish neighborhoods, and one of the entry points is in a self-contained neighborhood. The council at the Planning Commission, which I was present at, I had asked for a traffic study. The traffic study was done during the pandemic, and I'm not sure that the numbers were correct for any kind of improvements that this impact might have. And I know there are a number of citizens, and I just want to tell you, you'll probably start hearing from citizens who will see the change. And it's not seeing the R1, it's how it's going to be managed for traffic within a neighborhood that already has traffic calming devices that might need more, and also a neighborhood that is now self-contained but will open into this neighborhood, and then about 6 other neighborhoods as well. Due to the entry point. So I just want to make you aware of that, and also the idea of a traffic study. So like I said, which I think probably needs to go back to the drawing board. And I had suggested that at the planning prior to it getting to council for the rezoning, but I was overruled. So that's something that I will be trying to see whether that could be organized, because the city did the traffic study. I'm not really sure if the developer did. So anyway, just want to give you a heads up about that, because you'll be hearing from citizens, and I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rich. That was discussion. That was the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then the public hearing is called.
No, it's called for
Announcement?
the hearing. Calling the hearing. It's calling the hearing. We called
That's
the
what I said.
hearing.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said public hearing. Okay.
Right.
We called for it.
Let's start with Ms. Rich.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Well, we said a lot at our pre-conference meeting, thanking the mayor and his complete staff and everybody who helped to get us to the point where it's my understanding, if not everyone has power. So we thank the private company of Alabama Power, that when we're without power, we miss it a whole lot. And of course, I know some people did have some property damage. A lot of people had tree debris, and the city is moving forward to get that out of the right of way if people will bring it forward. And I just want to thank the staff of every department that I know worked so diligently to get us back up and running, and want to explain that appreciation to them all. So just want to get that in. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rich. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to also piggyback behind Councilwoman Rich and just thank the administration and the mayor and his team for doing a great job for our communities. A couple of times that I had, a couple of his administration to call and see if there's anything extra that needed to be done. I told him about some things, and it had happened. And again, I do appreciate all the hard work that the workers, the employees of the city of Mobile have done, basically from public works to public safety. Thank you all so much on behalf of the citizens. And speaking of the disaster that we had on last week, for FEMA use, if you had any type of destruction to your property, your homes, your businesses, remember that FEMA is out there to help you and to assist you. And you might not think that you might not be able or even eligible to to receive FEMA, but my suggestion to you is just to call and just talk to them. Even if you had a little insurance, it will not hurt for you to call. You can call the number at 1-800-621-3362. Again, that number is 1-800-621-3362. Or you can register online at disasterassistance.gov. Again, that is disasterassistance.gov. Or you can download the FEMA app on your smartphone. Again, they do have an app with FEMA on your smartphone. Again, if you don't even think that you qualify for FEMA, it would not hurt just to call and talk to the operators. They can tell you exactly, do you qualify or you do not qualify for the particular FEMA program. Again, that's for all residents, all businesses. At least call that number. And again, to find out, even if you have a little insurance, it still would not hurt to call that number. Also, I'd like to thank the council for passing the budget. Along with the budget, as it was discussed earlier, was $1 million for Tremere Park. Tramiel Park is one of the biggest parks in the city of Mobile that have been neglected for many, many, many years. One reason it has been neglected for years because it does not qualify for community block development grant money, which is, we call it CBDG money. Actually, the line that does qualify for it is right across the street. So therefore, since it does not qualify for it, and the city had been lacking, funds for many years, Tramiel Park has really just been going down the drain for many, many years. Since I've been on council, I think one of the first thing that was done at Tramiel Park was a $15,000 fence that was put up to a driveway. And last year with the CIP, we did playground equipment on last year, which we had installed a $500,000, well, not last year, but this year, a $500,000 playground equipment, which is an NFL playground equipment. And watching the news on today, I see that, Viger High School had wrote the mayor of Pritchard and told him because of the how Pritchard Stadium is neglected, that they would not be playing at Pritchard Stadium no more this season. And that reminds me of Tramiel Park, that we do have BC Rain, which is the home park of at Tramier. Their home park is at Tramier. And we do have, bad, horrible conditions at Tramiel Park. And I do not want BC Rain have to write, us, the city of Mobile, saying that they're going to move their home field out of the community to a part of the community because of how Tramier is going down. And again, with the $1 million that I'm putting in from my CIP and the $1 million that was put in with this budget, which is $2 million, is going to be invested to Tramiel Park, where we can, have the Raiders, which is BC Rain, can stay there at their home stadium and play football games, and all the way to baseball games, and also looking to do walking trails and really invest more into the Tramiel Park area. So citizens of District 3, especially South DIP area, please keep your ears open and your eyes open, because great things is coming to Tramiel Park in the near future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Daves?
Thank you, Mr. President. I again would like to thank all the city employees who brought our city back to near normalcy as quickly as they did, and to the Alabama Power teams. Let's not forget our neighbors to the east. Baldwin County was really, really whacked by this storm. There are still thousands of people without power, hundreds of thousands of trees down. It's going to be a long time before those folks are able to get back to where we are here in Mobile and Mobile County. So let's not forget about them in the meantime. And I'd just like to say that this, there's $1 million in this budget, close to it, for Matthews Park. And Matthews Park is really nothing more than a collection of ball fields at which kids from all over the city and all over the county play ball. And I've been able to divert some CIP resources to restore some of the lighting, but I couldn't possibly redo all of it because the park has just been neglected by the city for so long. All the lighting is in poor shape. The parking lots are in poor shape. The players and their families have done a lot of maintenance out there over the years, and they have really kept it from deteriorating any further. And I'm delighted that the city's going to make this significant investment in Matthews Park, which is a resource for everybody in the city and the county. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Daves. Mr. Richardson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start off by commending the citizens of District 1 and indeed the city for your patience during the period where Sally came and knocked out pretty much all of the lights and left behind her a trail of destruction. And I got lots of calls, especially regarding lights, which was beyond the purview of authority of the city of Mobile. But I commend Alabama Power Company for less. Today is a week, would be a week since Sally hit. And I don't know of a hurricane where power was restored in less than a week. So this is, we set a precedent, but people didn't want to be inconvenienced one day, one moment. So, but I commend them. I commend them for hanging in there with us on that. And then with all of the destruction, our trash and garbage people couldn't perform their regular duties, and we got calls on when would they come. They couldn't come until the destruction. Some of that stuff was moved away from our streets. So I commend them for their patience in that respect too. And I would like to close by saying I try to make myself clear earlier. I don't want to be misunderstood by anyone. At no time did I oppose the funding that was going to the various and sundry parks. I'm not opposed to that. And I recognize that those funds are needed. I was speaking up and advocating for District 1. They needed it no worse than District 1. I would not have been doing my job as a council member if I didn't stand up and advocate for the people in District 1. And I'm saying, just like the city was able to allocate funds to those projects, the city could have easily, with millions of dollars in surplus, allocated the funds that I requested in District 1, but it did not do so. But I don't want to go down as saying I was opposed to what was going to these other parks. No, not opposed to none of that. I'm opposed to the fact that none of the funds that the city has came to District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Gregory?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like my colleagues have already said, we really thank all of our employees for what they have done to just go beyond the call of duty to restore the city back to somewhat of a normal routine right now with debris pickup, garbage pickup, getting the trees off the streets. Everyone has done just a terrific job, and we really appreciate all that they have done and are continuing to do today. And as we know, with the weather the way it is, continued rain, we will continue to see limbs falling and probably trees uprooting because the ground is so saturated. So just be prepared for that. And thank you also, of course, to Southern Company, Alabama Power for coordinating everything they did to bring all of these different power crews into town to get our power restored. And I look forward to putting together some sort of a resolution. I had people in my district contact me to want to do something official, to thank all these power crews. So I'm glad that we will be putting something together. I think that's appropriate. A couple of other things. As we go forward, and hopefully the governor's order will expire eventually, I've gotten some phone calls from people at the recreation center in my district wanting to know about the senior meals, because apparently the clients are getting frozen meals rather than hot meals. But then again, the City Mobile senior centers are closed. So I'm hoping that with the staff, that Shonda and her staff can just provide information to those seniors and to the staff members about what's going on and when things will hopefully get back to normal, because I get phone calls and of course I don't really know. So I have to turn around and call someone in the administration and people talk and they hear rumors. So we just need to get the information out and make sure everybody understands exactly what's going on and why, and maybe some sort of timeline as to when things might change. And if there's anybody who is not getting fed, who needs to be fed, then of course they need to, our staff needs to know who they are so that they can be reached out to and food can be taken to them. So that was just one thing that has come up. I too want to thank everyone for moving forward and getting this budget approved. We're supposed to do it by, I guess it was actually a couple of days ago. So we're pretty much right on time per Zogby. So that's good. And I'm really excited about seeing that money coming into Langham Park. As I mentioned earlier, that park has not seen surplus money ever. It has been in neglect since, I don't know, the 60s, I guess. And we're looking to do a lot of things at Langham Park. As you know, the 12 Mile Creek program is underway. We'll eventually see some dredging at Langham. It could be 2 or 3 years off, before we can ever get to dredging, because everything has to be done upstream first before we can even get to Langham Park, even though the money's there. We just have to wait, and it gets very frustrating because we don't see anything happening there. So I'm excited that because of this plan that has been rolled out and the money that has been set aside in the budget, the $975,000 for the amphitheater. And by the way, that's the amphitheater. That is the consultant's vision of what an amphitheater can be like at Langham Park, plus my $1.4 million, which is going in this year from CIP. We will get all the pavilions renovated this year and do some other work as well. So people will begin to see progress at the park. And no longer will we hear people complaining about, you're never doing anything at Langham Park. Langham Park looks awful. Why won't you do something? We all get frustrated, but it takes a lot of time, it takes design, and most of all, it just takes a lot of money. And this is a city park. It's not just a District 7 park. It's not just a Gina CIP park. If I had to rely on my CIP money to do everything that needs to be done at Langham Park, it would never be done. So I'm just very grateful that the mayor and his staff and my colleagues have seen fit to approve this money going into Langham so that we can start working on this amphitheater, as you see right here, amphitheater, very soon. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. And now we'll hear from Mr. John Charles Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't realize that was a rendering. I kept wondering where Ms. Gregory.
Yeah, you can't really see it too well, but that's
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. It looks like a golf hole in the back. I'll be looking forward to playing that. First of all, I want to thank all the folks from Cypress Shores last night that turned out for a community meeting that was called by the residents. A great turnout, and also let them know that I have already talked to the mayor, and he has agreed to a meeting with their representation to address some of their issues. And I thank the mayor for that. Also want to thank Pastor Farr with the Restoration Deliverance Outreach Ministries. That was a meeting I had last night, and listened to the exciting things that they have planned to serve the less fortunate, and that already started to do that. An amazing ministry, and I really look forward to their success. Everybody's talked about Alabama Power. I can't tell you how many times I tried to honk my horn and let people know, especially those trucks that were up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, getting ready to continue their efforts, their tremendous efforts that unprecedented in restoring our power throughout the city. So hats off to all of Alabama Power, but I think that really the team effort is the Southern Company. The city, well, everybody spoke about that I really don't know that I ever asked a question that Colonel DeLapp or John Peavy hadn't already thought of and had a legit answer on. And so my hats off to those two, and of course all the folks that were working with them. Lastly, I just want to kind of mention, and I think it's appropriate as we are finishing maybe this pandemic, getting to the other side, and coming through this budget cycle. It wasn't that many years ago that our city was looking for every way to borrow money and to furlough and to lay off and to cut hours in the face of a economic difficulty. While our sister city, Montgomery, was working off of their reserves and continuing their level employment and level city services. Now it appears the tables have turned, that in these difficult times, our budget, our state of economy here in Mobile could not be better. And I will just tell you that while I would never dream this for myself, or be quite a nightmare to run for mayor of Mobile. What a task! But it's an impossible task without Paul Wesch and Relia and all of those who serve us on the financial side. If anybody's going to try it, they better clone Paul Wesch. If anytime in the future you want to run this city, because that's what it takes to be where we are. And the hats off to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And I agree with everything that's been said and would echo it 1,000 times. I got a call Wednesday night, a frantic call from Mr. Sammy Grace, who lives on Colonial Court, over behind the Paul Husband Fire Station, in a cul-de-sac, totally closed in because a tree is cut off their entryway into the community, and that tree was enveloped by power lines, live power lines. And they'd been there 3 days and hadn't said a word. Called me, frantic, elderly community. And I cannot speak enough about how hard Mr. John Peavy, his staff, along with Alabama Power, Southern Company, worked to remedy that situation. And it seemed like with every cut of the saw, Mr. Grace was calling me to let me know. They chopped another log. They took down another line. My power was on, but my neighbor's power isn't on. And that community stuck together, but they were able to make it because they saw the consistent progress. And that was because of the hard work of our city staff in the person of John Peavy, Peter Toller, and everyone with Alabama Power and Southern Company. And the mayor is committed to sending us those addresses. And we certainly will disseminate a letter around that all of us can sign on to, just letting them know how appreciative we are of their hard work. We had made arrangements to go somewhere else. And just as we were getting ready to walk out the house, because the power was out, our power came back on. And so I'm grateful. And I know the citizens of District 2 are grateful. And I want to say to the citizens of District 2, I want to reiterate what Council Vice President Small said relative to FEMA. If you had damages, if you had losses, call FEMA 1-800-621-3362 and let them know what your concerns are so that you might be in the number. You are not the expert, they are. Let them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. We're still in the midst of this pandemic. Stay 6 feet away, 12 feet away, 18 feet away is my preference. Wear your mask. What's wrong with the mask? Wear your mask. It's the ordinance, it's the state requirement from our governor. And hopefully we will continue to see the flattening of the curve. Glad this budget has been passed. Glad that most of us got what we saw fit for our districts, but we live to fight another day and plunge on another day as a financially solvent and successful city. So that concludes my remarks. Any other discussion? Now, hearing no further discussion, do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Been probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.